handle that.
Nah, I feel you, yeah.
That's too
He,
much. Come out,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And Maximilian was trying to run, and he was getting beat up.
Yeah, one thing I noticed with this is, when it says hit the A button to get them off you, I'm like, I still get bit.
Yeah, yeah,
What?
yeah. And you dying, and you dying. All right, hold up, we live.
Good.
What's going on,
We
Mitch?
live.
Mitches and Mitchettes, the hugging
Yeah.
out with geeking out official. And in lieu of Friday night fights, because there was a lot of fighting going on this week um, during the coronavirus or COVID-19 streams this week. I'm probably gonna ramp them up some more because I'm hearing rumors that something crazy might be happening as of Monday. So stock up. I'm just gonna leave it at that. So I got Shin to the wall, tag team partner over here. Heavy
What?
gaming machinery. What?
Hmm.
And Otis got played out. He got played out. Wow.
Yeah.
And Dolph Ziggler was on SmackDown, showing pictures of the Instagram stuff. Like, and they lost. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's messed up. He's terrible. He's a jerk. And she pretty though. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
No, my goodness. All right, let me rock with this intro. This is being brought to you by the New Gaming Order and my guest tonight, Geek-N-Out Official. So now, the topic today, as you know, most of the specs have already been put out there. And there's a couple of things. I said it would take something significant for me to kind of return to form with podcasting. And we are on the advent of that. So, Sony, and Mr. Cerny actually, did their reveal, but there was no real reveal. It was a specs confirmation or a gamer developers conference or whatever. I don't think that presentation was meant for the public. I believe that
Mm-hmm.
was mainly for the developers and investors. Um, because I actually, Shinwar and I were actually watching that live, and I was putting in a comment there. I'm like, half of these people or the fanboys do not know what the heck they were talking about. Like what teraflops and IO throughputs and SSD. A lot of these people are like, what? There was no sizzle. There was no, it was literally like sitting through a sociology or philosophy class in college. Like,
Yeah.
it was really boring. There was no kick or pep in their step. It was like they were literally lecturing you to death on how fast their 825 gig custom SSD is. You know?
Yeah.
So I will say this. I believe it's going to be an impressive system, but it looked like Microsoft got out in front of Sony in terms of messaging and, literally said, hey, we will never lose the power narrative again. And they put it out of reach. So there's some folks out there that, oh yeah, it's a 10.2, as you can see, a 10.28 teraflop system. That's at a variable bit rate. Again, the common person won't understand this, but it's not always gonna run at that max power. Okay.
What?
Now, also they overclocked what the 9 teraflop. But Shinwar, what was it again? It was 9 teraflops, or 9 something, 9.2 or whatever. Um,
Yeah, 992. But then they got it at like 10.2 or
yeah,
something.
yeah, overclocked,
Yeah.
or like a boost mode, like your traditional cell phone. Okay. Now, when you do that, what the average person may not understand is how. I hope they have a cooling solution in place to keep that. It's pretty much like Trunks going Ultimate Super Saiyan or the Ascended Saiyan level in Dragon Ball, and he's too bulky, overheating, burning up his power
Yeah.
reserves and all that, and it's like it's not efficient. But then again, we shall see. Um, I think out of all the things that Sony may have a leg up on Microsoft is probably a couple
Mhm.
seconds faster loading time. Now,
Mhm.
here's what my analogy is: if you're putting meat in the oven, right? And me, I'm like a well cooked, well done guy. All right. I rather that my stuff comes out right than to rush it out of the
Mhm.
oven. Or you go
True.
somewhere. Yeah. So a lot of people now. Here's the thing: the Sony does a way of implanting argument points for their base. So what's gonna happen now? You're gonna have a lot of people saying, "Hey, well, we got the fastest console on the market." Uh,
Mhm.
okay, it may load like 2 or 3 seconds faster than the Series X, but the Series X, hands down, is the more powerful system, and
Yeah.
at a fix frequency. So there's not gonna be like any dips in performance. That's a juggernaut right there. It is
Yeah.
that's like, okay, we're running at level 7 meter or doing level 3s all day where Sony has to build that power or doing tricks. Now, with the way that Sony seemingly did this, they are probably aiming at trying to undercut Microsoft with the cost. You know,
Mhm.
so with that being said, I see there are some folks. I'm not gonna say their name on this show, but there's some YouTubers out there who are freaking damage controlling. And these are the same people that were saying, well, the PlayStation 4 is more powerful than the OG Xbox One. And power was their narrative. And
Mhm.
now Microsoft took that away. And as time goes with the studios in the next, and 24 months into the system's life, you're going to see a lot more new second party and first party games and IPs and what have you. Okay? So when they have games, I hope that they don't get bashed like Sunset Overdrive, where they have games or have a title or try to be ambitious and still don't support it because they're still on the Sony platform.
Yeah.
You know? But all that to be said, Microsoft seemingly took everything, like, did that. The Xbox One was Microsoft's PS3. Sony messed that up completely, but they were able to recover and bounce back. I hope that Microsoft continues this trend. They're trying to fix the issues with the wrong people in place. Shinwar and I were talking about Peter Moore, who was once the head of Sega and head of Microsoft at one point, or the gaming division. And Peter Moore was the man. He had a clear pathway to success.
Yeah.
And when he left, you can kind of see, you know. Now, so in Sony's defense too, and yeah, I am defending Sony in this. There have been a lot of changing of the guard at the top as well. A lot of people have left the
Mhm.
company, and obviously you can see in the way that they deliver, where, like, they were trying to get people hyped on this SSD, and yeah, you know what? There's nothing on the market that can meet that current speed.
Yeah.
With that being said, now they have to go through certifications on what SSDs can be put in that expansion bay. We don't even know what the system looks like yet. But
That's true too.
yeah, so that's one thing. Microsoft went with the custom Seagate um, drives that you can put in and out. But Shin, I thought about
Mhm.
something. Sony's went with, okay, you can purchase third party stuff, right? But
Mhm.
they have to certify it. Microsoft took that away and just said, "Hey, here's Seagate. We will not compromise performance. That Seagate, SSD will work as the internal one works. So there's a general baseline. With Sony opening it up to third party, you know,
Mhm.
I can say that they run the risk of performance hiccups in terms of
Right. Right.
what if the drive is not fast enough, or what if it's something with transfer rates or so on and so forth. You know what I mean? They run the risk they run the risk of opening themselves up to that. But I'm gonna get off my soapbox. But in general, Shin, as we were watching the reveals and so on and so forth, what are your thoughts on just the presentation with Sony, with Cerny and trying to get people hyped for the PS5, and what are your thoughts on the
Um,
specs themselves?
I say the presentation was very underwhelming, but it seems like it was more geared and tailored to developers as opposed to consumers. Because
Mm-hmm.
it was a lot of jargon in there that just didn't really pertain to the average consumer. They don't care about all that. They're not going to understand that. They just want to see what the console look like, what it can do, and start showing some games off, and obviously price as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, your other question. What was your other question?
Yeah, the presentation you said was underwhelming in terms of the specs and how it's like the two systems are having two separate approaches to the expandable storage, and with the way Sony and their custom SSD and doing third party expansions and stuff. Like, do you think that's a good route for
Yeah.
Sony to go?
So with the specs, I mean, just out the gate, to be honest with you, even though the Xbox Series X is a more powerful console, you can pretty much say they're just to a consumer, they're equal.
In
Just hear
what
me out. So
way?
they're no, no, no,
Because.
no. When it
Mm-hmm.
just comes to games, when it just comes to playing games,
Mm-hmm.
even though the PlayStation has, they'll probably have some exclusives or whatever. We know Microsoft is working on that,
Mm-hmm.
but just the playing field, we know that the Xbox Series X is the more powerful console,
Mm-hmm.
but in terms of can I say this? In terms of what they do, they're pretty much on the same level. So back in the day, how you used to have like Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. Why was Super Nintendo better? Well, the colors, they have more colors.
Yeah, and the,
So
and
at
the and
this
the
point,
sound chip that was in it too. That
right.
can.
So
Mm-hmm.
at this point in the game, they're pretty much at the same level. What boils down to it is what games they're gonna have. So going back to what you were talking about with the expansion, yeah. So the guy mentioned, and he had to clean it up about the M2 drive. So you'll be able to use a drive that you buy from Best Buy or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
But he went right back and said, "Well, hold off on buying it. It first has to be on our compatibility list."
Mm-hmm.
With Microsoft, okay, boom, we know that Seagate is developing a drive, a proprietary drive for it. So you know what you're gonna get.
In terms of the
You know,
Xbox, right?
boom. Yeah, in return to the
Mm-hmm.
Xbox. So
Yeah.
you know that, okay, you don't have to worry about trying to figure out which drive works with this. You're able to use that. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's a neat idea. There's a port on the back of the Series X that handles that.
Mm-hmm.
That is a slot for that drive. But Digital Foundry did a great job in breaking down the Xbox Series X, and with Sony, I guess they're gonna show their console, the PlayStation 5, at one of their own events, and that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But with everything that's happening in the world, you want to get people engaged as soon as possible. And
Mm-hmm.
now that I look back, it's like, wow, you know what? Xbox was smart at doing it at the Game Awards.
Yeah, because everybody was watching, and
Yeah,
yeah, they took a platform like almost like a WWE event, and then they debut a new wrestler. It's like, oh shoot, oh Luke Harper shows up, oh Matt Hardy shows up. It's like they knew the world was watching, and they pull
yeah,
a swerve in on that.
yeah. And then it goes back to obviously, no E3, yeah, no E3 this year.
Hmm.
So, Microsoft, this is what, the second year in a row
Yeah.
um,
Hmm.
that they're just doing their own thing, and that's fine. And it looks like other companies are going to be, well, Nintendo's already been doing it, but Microsoft has been doing it as well, but they haven't abandoned E3 yet.
Yeah, yeah. It's still
So,
an institution, like the E3. It got a lot of exposure for people, And then you remember,
Yeah,
it's not just for gaming. There's more things at E3 aside from Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, showing off stuff. So
yeah, but what it's gonna boil down to, it's gonna be the price of the console and the games. That's what it comes down to. Who got the best games, best exclusives? That's what it boils down to. Now, at this stage of the game.
yeah. Now there's something that you said that I actually wanted to debate. In terms of the systems being equal, uh,
Mhm.
Digital Foundry was saying that that's not gonna be the case. The reason being, that GPU has probably what? It has 2 point something more teraflops than. This is raw
To
GPU.
no, but that's what we know that, but to the average consumer, they do the same exact
Oh
thing.
yeah,
That's
they
what I'm saying.
they do, and with that too, because well now you're gonna start seeing the digital foundry side by sides. You're gonna see things like remember how Tomb Raider was had like certain lighting on PS4 and so on and so forth. Then the X came out, and then there the comparisons will be there, and the sheep. They're gonna go with, oh, this looks prettier. This has the better graphics and so on. If Microsoft starts using that sort of messaging, you know what I mean? That I'm telling you. But I feel Spencer is a pacifist. He's not gonna go down that route. But like you said, you and I, we know that, you know. But my thing is, just like the Game of Thrones like memes, like what was that? Winter is coming. A war is coming when it comes to the fanboys who are completely butthurt. They are like butthurt like you wouldn't believe. And if you look at the stream right now or the podcast, like they're showing like a general breakdown, like in terms of like the performance. Um,
Hmm.
the base clock of that GPU is 9 point, or the APU GPU hybrid is sustainable is 9.2 teraflops. It's up,
Hmm.
and Sony's advertising it though as a 10.3 or 10.28. Okay, this is at a higher clock speed, so it's really 9.2. It's really 9.2. All right, granted. Now you have the Series X on a baseline at 12.1 teraflops or 12.18 as I remember. Now, if they clocked that CPU the same way that Sony did, they can potentially get 14.6 if they clock it higher. But if they're already ahead of the game in terms of visual fidelity and performance, there's nothing else they need to do. Now, I prediction, watch, everybody's gonna start saying it has to do with load time, load time, load time. Guess what? The PC is not gonna catch up to what Sony that I give them that. I give them that in terms of open world games and how that's going to be an added benefit. But 1 or 2 seconds,
Hmm.
some of the best PCs, unless the games are developed to constantly be loading as you're playing, is it's the PC and the Series X is pretty much on par at that point. And obviously PC is gonna exceed the Series X. It's always happens a seesaw battle between consoles and PCs, but you know,
Hmm.
with that, it's just like, it is what it is. The load time. I rather wait a second or two, because we're in a SSD era or SSD war per se. With the load times being better now than they were in this current era, that's good enough for me. I don't
Hmm.
there was a time when we were playing cartridge games and there's no load times, everything just bam bam bam. But we start going to CD
CD.
media, yeah, DVD and so on and so forth. So I had to pull all the information off the disc per se. But we shall see. There the Series X pretty much has every other check against Sony, but Sony has the faster drive. Now, it depends on the developers and how they're going to use it. Now, Shin, games like Spider-Man, you've played it, right?
Mhm.
How do you think a game like that would benefit from Sony's fast, super fast SSD, which mainly the first party SCEA, Santa Monica Studios, those guys, they're gonna really take advantage of this thing.
Well, they did a comparison with the load time
Hmm.
with the PS4 Pro and the PS5.
Yeah.
It
You mean the
it loaded
BS5?
faster. It loaded faster.
Okay.
The thing about Sony, they really established a brand. So they have their quote unquote loyalists or whatever.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's you know what? This is a good time to be in gaming.
Of course.
I'm gonna grab both systems because this is games that aren't going to be on
Yeah,
either or
the
that I
first
may be
parties.
interested in.
Yeah, I agree. The first
Well,
parties,
not
like
even that. Well, but then like Spider-Man last gen wasn't first party.
that
That
shouldn't
was
have
third
been.
party. That was
I
Sony.
still have my thing against that, but hey, it's whatever. You know.
Yeah, so I don't want to. I'm not gonna miss a game. If I like the game, I want to play it. I
Well,
want to enjoy the game.
well.
Yeah, I'm a gamer. I'm not gonna be
uh,
biased. If I like the game, I'm gonna play it.
Yeah, I mean,
So
third party
I'm gonna play the
exclusives.
game.
I've never been a fan of those. I don't support those. That's anti-consumer for me. You know what I mean? But if it's like a God of War, which I own, like yeah, I'm all for it.
Man, whoever got the game, I want to play it. I want to play it. What? Wow, you don't care.
F all that.
Yeah,
But
man.
in other news, Sony is actually, rumors has it, is in talks with trying to mend the fence with Kojima and Konami, and they're talking about trying to do a soft reboot to Silent Hills. There's talk of getting Castlevania's IP to Sony so that they can make a Bloodborne style game. I said, interesting. And then Metal Gear. I mean, the way it ended, it should just stay where it is. There's no reason to dig up the past. They're already in the Metal Gear Rising era. Years in the future with Raiden as the protagonist. You know, so I mean, that's gonna be an interesting
Oh my
thing.
god.
But again, Microsoft may have the edge in terms of power, but to Shin's point, if they do not have the software to push it, now Microsoft,
Ah.
if you hear my voice, and I even sent a tweet to Phil Spencer directly, a few like about 2 months ago, bring back Scalebound. Bring back Scalebound. Now, here's my concern with Scalebound. That game is in the same era as Crackdown 3. So, if it does come to fruition, it's still going to look dated in terms of graphics. Unless they go and make sure that they update it and make sure it's ready fidelity wise for a Series X. But I'm telling you, Microsoft, let Platinum Games finish that game. You need this. You need this. Period. Point blank, period. It would be suicide to not. I'm telling you, people want that game. I wanted that. Remember, Shin, when we saw the gameplay demo?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a gentleman on YouTube. He actually played it. He played that working demo. It was in the early phase or so. And he was like, that's a shame that game didn't come out. You know? But, let me go to the chat because I see Sir Ghost added a comment. Give me 1 second. Bear with me, my friend. NYC Playboy, what's going on? And he's over here with this poverty box thing. Playboy, you mad, bro? You mad? You mad, bro? You mad? All right. So, I really don't care for the specs personally. I never really keep up with that stuff. Just give me cool features, backwards compatibility, built-in. Okay, got it, got it. Playboy, stop hating. Stop hating. Now, another point: the backwards compatibility approach. Everybody, even some of the Sony um,
My Little
base,
Pony.
yeah, the pony, the Sony camp folks who are pro Sony, here's my thing: the PS5. You would think that they would just do the backwards compatibility or take a page out of Microsoft's book and do it the way Microsoft has been doing. So as of right now, the current news is only 100 at launch of the most popular games will be backwards compatible on the PS5. That's almost as bad as 599 US dollars shooting off somebody's pinky toe Harlem Night style. Why?
Huh?
Why? It needs to be like you take the disc, put it in there, and let it play. Like I don't get it. Didn't they keep the same architecture? Like Microsoft, they took the Series X or they took the X and then they just said, "All right, we're gonna beef it up. We're gonna beef it up." So everything in terms of your peripherals and all that, like the games are gonna work. The ones that have already been put on the backwards compatibility, they're gonna work. All right. So Sony is like, okay, right out of the gate, we're only gonna have support up to 100 games. I don't get that. I don't get the philosophy. Shin, what are your thoughts on that?
On what?
Like Sony's backwards compatibility approach for the PS5. I thought that they would have done the smart thing and do what Microsoft is doing.
Yeah, I mean, you would think so, right? I
It's
think they
like
said
this
they're gonna
is
have
their
like,
Achilles heel, man. It's like,
yeah, they're gonna have their 100 most popular PS4 games.
hmm
I mean, but wouldn't the goal be to put your entire library up there?
yeah, yeah.
And PS3 and PS2 and PS1 games, but it seems
hmm
that they're not really focused on that. I guess that's not what they want to do.
you know what? They are leading right now. What they should have done was just is steal Microsoft's playbook because it's like now here's the thing, Microsoft now they're talking about games. Like their library is following like the last. They're supporting select titles from the OG Xbox all the way up to the Series X, right? So
Hmm.
Microsoft did it right. They did it right. Like Trunks said, Gohan increased his speed without his strength without losing speed. Microsoft has that formula down pat. I'm actually disappointed. I was hoping to see that Sony would have done this right, but I think this could
Hmm.
adversely hurt them. Because think about it, a lot of people are buying into Sony right now, and this huge base. What if there's a game that like popular games? That's one thing, but a game that somebody wants to play is not supported at launch. You think they're gonna buy the game or buy the console?
They will. They'll still buy it.
Unbelievable. Wait, I still
But
remember.
but that means that they would still have to keep their old console, which
Oh,
most people
are
will
they gonna
probably
pull a
do.
down metric? Oh, you want to put backwards compatibility? Get a 360,
If
and
Yeah, if it's not on the PS5 yet, most people. Here's the
yeah.
thing: most people still keep their old consoles.
Oh, you keep your own consoles.
No, most people do. They keep the console that they had prior.
Richard
Especially
Pryor.
if you know the game. Especially if you know the game isn't gonna come out backwards compatible to the
Yeah,
next
yeah, yeah.
console.
I,
You
I I
buy the
did
old
that with
one.
my 360 for a while until a lot of the games started popping up, and most of my games already are there. So respect. Yeah. So hold on. Sorry about the extra window thing, but um, Sir Ghost, I still remember when the Fat PS3 had full backwards compatibility. Shinwar and I were talking about that this morning. When
Uh,
new gaming order early on, one of my old partners in the old show, we had that for the channel. And it was that Fat PS3, that first one that can do
first
PS1,
gen, first
yeah,
gen.
the
Hmm.
PS1, PS2, and the PS3 games. It had the memory card slots in the front or SD,
Yep.
and then they took that
SD.
out.
Yep.
They took that out because people were installing Linux and they feared that there were gonna be piracy or whatnot, and I don't know, that was dumb, but
Hmm.
If Microsoft is able to have full backwards compatibility, I don't see why Sony can't have it either. I think it just comes down to laziness. You know what? Here's the thing, because Sony is in such a comfortable lead, they're not trying as much. They're not trying as much. I actually am happy that Microsoft got Deontay Wilder. They're gonna get up, learn from their mistakes, and try not to get caught out like they did before. You know, I assure you, they're not gonna make that the launch OG Xbox One. They're not gonna make that mistake again. But yeah, I believe if Sony tried with the backwards compatibility, that their games like Panzer Bandit from the old PS1 era, that was one of my favorite games. You know what I mean? You have Guilty Gear Missing Link. That's why I started playing Guilty Gear on the original PlayStation, right? There's so many like cool titles that I just want to see, come back. But I don't know, man. They Sony is using the new RDNA 2 architecture is for having their games come to PC. It was alluded to in tech review. Now, Playboy, that is fine and good. That is fine and good. But why is Microsoft able to achieve it? And they're both using RDNA 2. So that's just my point. Um, 7 Co. Does that mean it will be easier to port games to PC? That is correct. Yeah, going RDNA 2 is gonna be like the standard. Also, Microsoft's answer to that is Xbox Game Pass on PC. So the sex box sex what
Hmm.
he put that in the chat. Wow, that Playboy, we gotta kick him out of here. Terrible. No, he supports the show. But so the sex box X will have more games on PC as well as crossplay. Yes, this is true. Um, but you see, also with the backwards compatibility thing, I almost forgot. Sony is trying to force people into the PlayStation Now, where if you have older games, like backwards compatibility is solved that way. But if I already own the game, why do I have to pay a subscription service to play a disc that's sitting physically in my hand? I won't do
Mhm.
it. I won't do it. No. I have the game. Let me put it in my PS5 and play. That's just me. You know. Um, yeah, Xbox Games Pass on PC. Like, look, XCloud is gonna be a thing. All right. That's probably gonna solve a lot of the internal hardware limitations and whatnot. Like, oh, you can install games and or stream games. You know. So yeah, just wait and see when the XCloud becomes a thing, and it'll go from there. Um, let's see. Fat PS3, you can do other installs. Yeah, Linux. Like I remember me in Anomaly, we didn't have the streaming capabilities like in the past, but I was able to put Linux on there. I browsed the internet. I did all kinds of cool stuff on there, so it was pretty fun. So the new PS5 is going to be what? Is Takuma? What the heck are you talking about? He's like the
What
new
did he
PS.
say?
He said the new PS5 is going to be Xbox Series X. What?
What?
You know what? I don't know, man. Answer is Xbox Game Pass PC. So Playboy, will you get the Game Pass on PC since you're on the PC Baster race and play with us?
Hmm. What?
Yeah, unbelievable. Another thing, DirectX 12 Ultimate and Windows 10 along with Xbox that will carry Microsoft over the hump against Sony. Oh, I did not think about that. Interesting. Interesting. Good point, Playboy. Good point. So, matter of fact, I can get rid of this window over here and put you guys in the middle. Spotlight you guys. All right, bear with me. All right, so I'll move this to the middle and stretch it out. Yeah, I want you guys front and center tonight. You know, so like I said, my word was to bring the podcast back, and little by little, this is the second installment. Just bare bones, some interesting stuff. Now, here's another thing, and Shinwar brought this up earlier. Streets of Rage 4. There's a handling of that game doesn't seem too fair. I wonder what deal was in place, but Microsoft needs to start swinging for the fences because Streets of Rage 4 will have a limited run physical copy distribution. And what was the website, Shin?
LimitedRunGames.com.
LimitedRunGames.com. And there will be physical releases for the Switch and the PS4. No physical release for the Xbox. That I don't get.
And they're gonna have it in their like the original Genesis clam box.
Yeah, that's I don't know.
I agree with that.
How does that happen though? How does Microsoft simply not get that support? And the thing is, that was like an ID Xbox or indie developer from France working on that. You know what I mean? It's just I don't know, but I will say I'm just happy that Xbox is even getting it. So I'm not gonna be a beggar or chooser and all that. So
I just wish it would be out already. Like I feel like it's been in development for like the longest.
Now because of the coronavirus, those physical copies, you might have to just digress and get it digitally, like the Xbox folks will have to. So, but that's coming out to all major platforms, PC, or is it just the consoles?
That's a good question. Hold on, let me check.
All right. So another thing, DirectX 12. All right, no, that was Playboy's old comment. All right, I have the Game Pass. Well, is it for PC?
Oh yeah, it's PC too. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. He said, "No, I will not play with you peasants in your poverty boxes. You a hater. You a hater. Okay." Don't be mad because you have to spend.
Who's that, Playboy?
Yeah,
Playboy?
he has to spend 50 grand.
Typical Playboy.
He has
typical Playboy.
Yeah, he has to pay 3 grand for what potentially is gonna be, for $500. I say $499, the price point, and Sony's gonna try to undercut Microsoft and do it for like 400, or at least 3. Like 450. Or honestly, they might have to be similar in price. That's gonna be they're playing chicken with each other right now because the prices probably, like, let's say E3 was going down, we would have known the prices by June. So he said he won't play with us. Oh, you play with me, Playboy. Whoa.
What?
Pause.
Oh,
Pause. Command and Conquer Remaster coming to PC? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Let me stop. Matter of fact, I didn't even know they were doing that. So, anyone still got a... What you are asking for an Office 365 key on this podcast? We do not solicit giving away keys, Microsoft. The views expressed by Takuma do not reflect that of Geek-N-Out or New Game in Order and its affiliates. Unbelievable. Late, but I need to get my hands on another fat PS3 someday. I wonder if they're... You know what? Here's the thing. The fat PS3, Shinwar has his, but like he has the yellow light of death. And the people who do have working ones are charging an arm and a leg for them. So
yeah, because they stopped production on those.
Yeah, so if they get effed up, what was the Juggernaut? You're gonna have problems. I'm shocked you guys call me typical. I didn't say it. That was Shinwar. Yeah, hey, look, Playboy. I made a promise. I said I'm gonna reignite this thing. A lot of that fell on me, man. I had to get out of my little depression, my little slump. You know, at least I have Shinmar here, and on your knees, he streams
Oh,
randomly, so you know, just helping a brother out. Matter of fact, I want to get Mr. Francis on this show and talk gaming because this guy that's a cool dude. Francis, you rang. Hey, he came out with the antlers, man. I'm done. Yeah. You know,
oh my god.
shout out to Francis over there at the Microsoft store in Bridgewater, New Jersey. We're gonna try to get an event in, but the COVID-19 put a stop to all of this. So we're gonna figure things out as time progresses. So and you're gonna tell me to shut up, Takuma? Okay, no problem. We're gonna fix that. We're gonna fix that,
Wow.
brother. My PC swallowed my consoles like Pac-Man. Oh, Slinky Jim. Ha! What's going on, brother? You coming into the show all late? But yeah, just a couple of Q&As. But you know, when this is re-aired on YouTube, you know, I just want to start the discussion point as to Microsoft and Sony's approach to next gen. Um, they're both gonna play games, but they're gonna try to achieve them differently. And it's going to be very interesting to see. Now Microsoft won't be stumbling out the gates like before, and they're gonna have an even even start. So I guess sins of the past should not linger into someone's future. Sony is evidence of this. The PS3 tanked in the beginning, and they had a renaissance and resurgence with the PS4. So
Yeah.
everybody deserves a second chance. So obviously, Microsoft learned from their mistakes. So with that, um, I see. I can come on the podcast. Just give me a date and time. Matter of fact, what I'm trying to do is right before or after Friday night fights. That's when I want to do like a show while I have Shinwar, in Discord. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to inconvenience everybody. I think that's what hurt the show before, people's availability. And I'm not one to say, hey, you know what, you can't handle your life or anything. It's like, hey, I was blessed to have a team when the running of the show was at its peak. So, you know, whenever folks are available, or if you have a topic you want to talk about, just let me know, and then I'll make myself available. During this time of COVID-19, take advantage of New Gaming Order and Geeking Out, because we're going to be working from home, and we can make it happen, you know. But little by little, it's gonna be like the old way. I'll have the music in the background, have some gameplay stuff and all that good stuff. But I'm motivated, and this is the year to do it. Because consoles are coming. There's gonna be a lot to talk about. So, yeah, we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna have a good time. I mean, heck, you got I'm sure on your niece can come to discuss. Playboy, I know you're there, and Takuma shows up. You know what I mean? So we can make it happen. Shakuma was on the last one we did. You know, so it was good stuff. But in conclusion, Shinwar, do you have any closing remarks or anything that I did not cover?
No, just excited for what's to come from both companies, all companies, new gaming consoles, new games. Just looking forward to it.
All right, bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be a jerk for a couple of weeks because now that the results are in terms of specs and all these people speculating stuff, like Apollo said before he got bopped by Drago, you won't understand, but you will when it's over. No, let me stop. I'm just being stupid. But he said, "What? Oh, this is a kids show." No, it's not. Look, if you're under the age of 15 watching New Game and Order, you got problems. This is not for you. This is not for kids. This is not for kids. But yeah, we'll be safe, man. And for anyone who has loved ones or has come into contact with COVID-19, I am keeping you in sincere prayer. If you have any parents, loved ones, or significant others who are ill, just know that I have y'all in prayer. Um, Somebody told me to just interject some of that positive note because Takuma used to do the positive note for the show when we were at our peak, So I want to kind of inject that into this. So, with that being said, Shin, do you have anything announcements from your channel? Just for the audience, if you're doing like unboxings, comics, toys, tech. What's the catchphrase?
Comics, games, toys, and tech. No, just been focusing on the comics, so you can catch weekly videos of New Comic Book Day for the newest releases that come out in comic books.
Oh, okay. Word up, word up. All right, so again, this was awesome. There was a lot of you in the chat. I really appreciate y'all participating. The podcast will kind of retain this format, and if I have anything that I need to put like in terms of video, I'll put like in the upper region while the chat is still active. All right, so I just want you guys to see yourself. You made this thing what it was when we were white hot. So we're gonna come back with reckless abandon, and just like you know, Undertaker sitting up after he seemingly defeated, or Hulk Hogan hulking up. We'll be back. We'll be back. So this has been brought to you by New Game and Order and Geeking Out Official, the man, the myth, the juggernaut, and the tag team partner. I want to thank y'all for
Huh?
participating. Well, and for once this is on YouTube, let's have a dialogue. I just want to know what you guys think, whether you agree with me, disagree with me. Uh, you know, Facts are facts. So the man, the myth, the juggernaut. This has been brought to you by New Game and Order. Intro created by Panzoid with Panzoid Online 3D Renderer. I want to thank y'all again. Thanks for watching. It's good to be back. See y'all later.